Welcome to today's Explainer. To truly analyze literature, you really need more than just a love for reading. You need to understand its architecture. Think about it. Literature is this infinitely massive library, literally filled with thousands of years of human thought, emotion, and storytelling. But without a map, it can feel completely overwhelming. So today, we're going to neatly map out that entire library together. We're breaking down the major genres of literature so you walk away with a master key to categorize absolutely any piece of writing you ever pick up. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First up, defining literary genres. Then we'll dive into poetry and drama, followed by fiction and nonfiction. After that, we'll tackle the absolutely crucial difference between genre and form. And finally, we'll wrap things up with a quick quiz. All right, Section 1, defining literary genres. So, at its very core, the word genre just means a category or a type. But in literature, a genre is a category of works that share similar characteristics, style, or subject matter. Honestly, it's best to think of these similar characteristics as a sort of unspoken contract between the author and you, the reader. If you grab a science fiction novel, you're expecting speculative tech and deep world building, right? But if you pick up a textbook, you expect concrete facts. They have totally different styles and subject matters, and that shared DNA is exactly what groups wildly different works of art together. Moving right along to Section 2, poetry and drama. Let's step into the highly expressive world of poetry. Poetry is all about expressing thoughts through deeply artistic, carefully chosen language. And within this wing of the library, we have several distinct subgenres. We've got the lyric, which is this deeply emotional outpouring of personal feelings. Then there's the epic, detailing grand, massive, heroic deeds. Now look at the incredible contrast between these next two. An elegy expresses profound sorrow, usually mourning someone who has died, whereas an ode swings to the complete opposite end of the human experience. It's all about enthusiastic praise and celebration. And finally, the sonnet, which relies on really rigid engineering, specifically a strict traditional structure of exactly 14 lines and precise meter. To make this a bit more concrete, let's look at a classic ode. John Keats wrote Ode to a Nightingale, which is a beautifully crafted poem praising the song of a nightingale bird. Get this, Keats allegedly wrote this entire masterpiece in just a few hours while sitting under a plum tree. He captured that fleeting beauty through celebratory language, and it perfectly fits that praise and celebration vibe of an ode. Let's shift over to our next major pillar, which is drama. Unlike poetry, drama is literature explicitly written to be performed on a stage. It literally comes to life through dialogue, actors, and action. And just like poetry, drama covers a massive emotional span. The classical definitions are super important here. Tragedy often stems from a character's fatal flaw, also known as hamartia, dealing with heavy events and almost always ending in a great downfall. Comedy, on the flip side, relies on misunderstandings and humorous situations that neatly resolve themselves by the final curtain call. And sitting right smack in the middle is tragicomedy, weaving both laughter and sorrow together, much like real life. Shakespeare's Macbeth brilliantly illustrates this. It isn't just a story. It is literally the quintessential tragedy. It's a complete masterclass in how unchecked ambition creates this downward spiral that culminates in an inevitable downfall. When you experience Macbeth, those classical tragic characteristics immediately tell you exactly where you are in the literary taxonomy. Okay, Section 3, fiction and nonfiction. So, fiction is all about imaginative prose writing. The major subgenres here include the novel, the novella, and the short story. And length actually matters quite a bit in this taxonomy. A sprawling novel allows for deep, intricate world building over hundreds of pages, right? While a short story requires absolute precision, delivering a huge narrative punch in just a few pages. The novella just sits comfortably right between them. And within these varying lengths, we get all those fun thematic genres: mystery, sci-fi, fantasy, historical fiction, and romance. Now contrast that directly with nonfiction, which is strictly grounded in real people, concrete facts, and true events. A biography is the life story of a real person, but written by someone else. An autobiography, though, is that chronological birth-to-death life story written by the actual subject themselves. An essay is a shorter piece of writing discussing a specific real-world topic. And finally, the memoir. Notice the contrast here. Unlike a full autobiography, a memoir is a specific slice of life. It's a highly focused collection of a person's specific memories or experiences, rather than their whole life story. Moving into Section 4, genre versus form. All right, listen up because we are now going to tackle the absolute most common pitfall in literary analysis, the distinction between form and genre. It trips everyone up. Think of form as the physical structure. It's the scaffolding, or the literal container of the literary work. Genre, conversely, is the stylistic category of the contents that you pour into that container. Let's really ground this complex distinction. Drama and poetry dictate physical structure, right? Stanzas on a page versus dialogue on a stage. They are forms. Tragedy and elegy describe tone, subject matter, and emotional stakes. They are genres. So, a tragedy is a specific stylistic genre placed inside the structural form of drama. An elegy is a specific genre placed inside the form of poetry. Makes sense, right? Here is your ultimate master taxonomy grid. It cleanly maps out exactly how our four overarching forms house their specific subgenres. Poetry gives us the lyric, epic, elegy, ode, and sonnet. Drama gives us tragedy, comedy, and tragicomedy. Fiction brings us the novel, novella, and short story. And nonfiction delivers the biography, autobiography, essay, and memoir. Take a mental snapshot of this framework, hold it in your mind, and you will be able to instantly categorize any text you ever encounter. All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, the quick quiz. Let's test your recall of today's source material with a rapid-fire knowledge check. First question up, what does the word genre actually mean in its absolute simplest terms? Take a second. Got it? It literally just means a category or type, grouping works based on shared stylistic characteristics. Awesome. Moving on to question number 2. Which specific genre of drama deals with serious events and almost always ends in a major downfall? And the answer is tragedy. Just like Shakespeare's Macbeth, it's characterized by heavy ambition, a fatal flaw, dark consequences, and absolutely no happy ending in sight. All right, final question. Let's test the most crucial distinction from today's explainer. What is the fundamental difference between form and genre? Here it is. Form is the structural container, like a poem or a play, while genre is the stylistic category inside it, like an elegy or a comedy. I promise you, mastering this one distinction instantly elevates how you analyze literature. Well, there you have it. We've successfully mapped the architectural taxonomy of literature, and you now understand the intricacies of poetry, drama, fiction, and nonfiction. But, a map is really only useful if you actually explore the territory. So what genre will you analyze next? Armed with this new framework, go pick up a book and step into the library. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.